So Joe Schoen just took the podium and took questions in his official pre-draft press conference, and he had a lot to say. And I know most of you don't have a half hour to watch a press conference, so in this video, I want to break down the important things that were said and then give some of my thoughts and insights. I will say a lot of the reporters were indirectly asking about Shedeur Sanders, which I thought was hilarious, but there were some good questions and some good answers. Here was the first one.
What do you get out of the private workout, especially with the quarterbacks?
Yeah, we have a process in place that we've had. I mean, this dates back to when Daves and I worked together in Miami.
So that was Joe Schoen's first attempt to dodge the Shedeur Sanders question, but honestly, he was not wrong. And he does have a good track record with the draft specifically. He did make a huge mistake with Saquon Barkley and the way he handled that situation, obviously, but he has been really good in the draft, and there is no reason not to trust him and his process right now. Here is attempt number 2, and this guy got right to the point. He did not even beat around the bush at all.
Joe, you discussed right from the beginning about the importance of improving the quarterback position. You've signed a couple of veterans in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. How important is it for the Giants to select a quarterback at some point in this draft?
With the signing of those two players, I think we put ourselves in a position where, I don't think that's mandatory or something that we're, our feet to the fire and we have to do. I think the two guys we signed have played a lot of ball. They've got a lot of skins on the wall, and I do think we've upgraded that room, compared to where it was a year ago. I like the two guys that we have, and Tommy's still in there, and he's won games for us too, and he's still developing. So we're happy with the makeup of the room right now.
I think Joe Schoen basically answered the big question right here without answering it, and the press conference could have ended right here. He said that the Giants do not have any reason to feel it's mandatory to take a quarterback with pick number 3, and basically that means that they will not be selecting a quarterback. Joe Schoen believes in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and even though we all know that quarterback room is not going to take the Giants anywhere this coming year, it really could set this team up for success after this season, because then they will have the money to spend. They will have guys available they may like, and there may be better quarterback prospects in next year's draft. I think it's clear that nobody exactly loves the quarterback room this year, especially when you can take someone in like the 3rd or 4th round that has a chance to be just as good as who you pick at number 3. And on top of that, there are potential generational talents on defense in Travis Hunter and Abdul available to select. Anyways, moving on, I really like this question.
Trends, how much does that affect or tweak or cause you to tweak your processes when you look at some of the things that the successful teams of last year maybe were able to do in terms of personnel?
What trend are you?
Like, for example, more defensive line rotation, more running back emphasis, that sort of thing. Does that cause you to tweak your
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a trends, but you look around, like you look at division and your matchups within the division or your opponents or what's coming up. And ultimately you're trying to build the best team. But I know, again, talking about Miami again, we were in Miami and they had New England had 2 really good tight ends. Well, how are we going to match up against these guys? So if you have a weakness versus, a certain opponent that you got to play a couple times a year, you look at that and how you're going to build your team, because ultimately you want to win your division. So, not so much trends around the league, but, it is a copycat league. So coaches are looking at that from a personnel standpoint. Really good collaboration with the coaching staff and what they're looking for and what they need in order to put the best product on the field and win games.
I knew Joe was not going to answer this question referring to Saquon Barkley for obvious reasons, but I think he kind of revived the running back position in a big way with what he did leading the Eagles to the Super Bowl. But nonetheless, teams do got to think about trends, and I love how he talked about the divisional matchups, because now with Saquon as a divisional opponent, he may want to draft Carter to pair with Dexter Lawrence to have a chance to stop the run, or he may see a specific late round player available for the secondary that he thinks can guard a specific receiver. It definitely is an interesting thing to think about. Now back to the quarterback questions. Here was the next one.
How do you characterize this year's quarterback class?
I mean, there's some depth to it. I mean, there's good players for various reasons, different ages, different playtime experience. There's quarterbacks in this draft that'll go on and play and be starters in the league.
I'm kind of shocked that Joe was able to keep his composure and come out with a friendly response to that question, because that was pretty much the 5th time he was asked that question in a different way in a span of 10 minutes. But he did give a solid and obvious answer, like it's obvious if Jackson Dart is available, or like if Jalen Milroe slips to the 4th round, you take him. But why would you force drafting a late round QB you are not in love with when you can draft another position and get a player that can help you now and also in the future when contracts are up for other players? Alright, finally 12 minutes in, somebody asked about the real question that matters in Abdul Carter's medical update, and also about Travis Hunter, and here's what Shane had to say about that.
Speaking of medical, what have you heard, I guess, the most recent update on where Abdul Carter is?
Yeah, we have that meeting tomorrow with Ronnie and his crew, so we'll have some more information. We've been in contact with, he was here on Friday. I think that was pretty well reported, so feels good. He's working out, he's running. Didn't even know he had it. You know, he went to the combine, it was news to him, so I don't think there's going to be much room for pause there.
Joe, with a player like Travis, obviously Travis Hunter, who has said this week that he wants to play both positions. When you meet with the player, just how often do you discuss your fit, how you want them to fit in with you versus just kind of what they envision their fit is?
Yeah, the players ask us that all the time. You know, how do you see me fit with your organization? So Travis is a unique individual. You know, again, Dave said it at the owners' meetings. You got to watch a lot of plays on him. So he's fun to watch. It's unique that you know, the ball skills, the route ability, and then also the ability to go the other side and, you know, play corner. Like, you just don't see that very often. You know, a lot of times if these guys can't catch or they can't play receiver, then they get moved to DB. But, you know, this guy can do it all. So he's also, you know, he's a great kid. So it'd be hard to keep him off the field, and, you know, he's motivated to play both ways. So, you know, again, you always worried about the length of the season, you know, with the NFL 17 games and training camp, and you're just, if he gets hurt doing something that he's not doing full time, you know, you're going to kick yourself. But he's a unique athlete that I think will be able to do both.
He literally just said exactly what I've been feeling over the last few months. I think Travis Hunter can play both sides of the ball. He has that talent, but you definitely worry about the length of a season, because the NFL is just a different level of physicality of football, and also you don't want him to get injured doing something stupid that he doesn't have to. And then basically he said that he is not worried about the Abdul Carter injury because he barely even knew he was injured at his pro day. And me personally, I think Carter is all the Giants should be focused on right now, because I think the Browns are going Travis Hunter. I myself, unfortunately, am a Browns fan, which maybe is the only thing worse than being a Giants fan in terms of just torture and all that. And I'm pretty sure the Browns are set on Hunter, because Andrew Berry just dropped a statement calling him Shohei Ohtani. But that is not a bad thing for the Giants at all. Abdul Carter is an absolute animal, and if you pair him up with Dexter Lawrence, the Giants defensive line becomes scary, and it really could help negate some of the firepower that teams in the Giants conference have in the backfield. But yeah, I think Joe Schoen made it obvious what the Giants are about to do in the draft. They are not going to take a quarterback, and if I had to bet, I would put all my money on Abdul Carter, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think and why you think that way. That's really all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point. This was kind of a new style, so let me know if you enjoyed. Be sure to click that like button and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world, and until next time, I will see you all later.